What was the point then of the government shutdown if the Democrats were just going to cave into the Republicans' requests and essentially get nothing? What, on the promise that we might have this conversation again in a month? They're just going to do this all over again in a month. I don't understand then what was the point of this shutdown. Don't cave.
And my friends, know what you are voting on. Studies are out there that when you throw 15 million people off of health care, some 50,000 of our fellow Americans will die unnecessarily every single year. Anyone think that's funny? Something to laugh at? Something to just go past? I don't. 50,000 Americans die unnecessarily. Now, I know as part of this resolution that the majority leader is going to say, well, Democrats can put together their own bill, and it will come to the floor here in the Senate for a vote. As everybody here knows, that is a totally meaningless gesture. You can get 100 votes here in the Senate. Won't mean anything because the House is not going to take it up, and the President of the United States certainly will not sign it.
The Democrats fucking caved again. This entire fucking shutdown was about the fucking ACA subsidies, and the Democrats didn't fucking get them. They got fucking nothing. Everybody's healthcare is gonna stay as expensive as we've been seeing it get over the past month. It's been as much as double or triple what they were paying for barely any coverage at all. Millions of people are gonna lose their insurance. 50,000 more people per year will die preventable deaths due to being underinsured or uninsured. In the richest country on the planet, we have tens of thousands of people dying each year because they can't afford health care. Oh, but they gotta vote on the ACA subsidies. The Republicans will just vote against them, and the Democrats know that. They had no reason to cave like this. The Democrats had all of the leverage in the world. People blamed the Republicans for the shutdown, and the Democrats swept elections last Tuesday. Trump was flailing in public because he knew how bad it was for his party, and the Democrats just threw the fight for no reason. Leave it to the Democratic Party to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory every single fucking time. The Democratic leadership absolutely has to go. Their responsibility for this authoritarian fascist moment that we're in cannot be understated. Trump and the Republicans are a fucking catastrophe, okay? They're fascists trying to create an authoritarian Christian nationalist state out of our country. But when you look back on this moment in history, it cannot be forgotten that without these Democrats being either complicit or fucking brain dead, Trump would never have gotten this far. I don't know what to say at the end of the video here. I want to provide some message of hope or silver lining, but I can't see one out of this. People are gonna fucking die. Donate to mutual aid funds. Do everything you can to protect your community, because nobody's fucking coming to save us.
Mike Johnson has stated that he's absolutely not interested in expanding the subsidies for ACA. All of this bullshit was for fucking nothing. It was for fucking nothing. Our Senate Democrats are about as fucking useful as a church when there's a starving baby screaming on the other end of the phone. And I know the SNAP thing sucked. That whole thing sucked, but hear me out. There are no insulin banks. There are no doctor banks. Millions of people are going to lose their health insurance because it's going to be fucking unaffordable to them. People who are in the middle of things like getting diagnoses, people who are in the middle of treatments right now are going to lose their fucking healthcare coverage because of these 8 motherfucking piece of shit Senate Democrats who can't hold the fucking line. Trump, meanwhile, campaigns on short-term pain, long-term gain, and they fucking eat it up. And they stick with him and they go, yeah, fuck yeah, we're going to do it. But not ours, not ours. So don't ask why people like me are out here fucking so spitting mad that every other fucking word out of our mouth is the F-bomb, or why we're so pro-fucking socialism. Don't even ask. What are you, fucking dumb? Because left to this system, we're fucked. Everybody fucking loses. The poorest and most vulnerable fucking lose. And for once, I want the fucking haves of this world to fucking lose out while other people fucking get an opportunity to thrive. Fuck this.
Well, there you have it. Democrats just caved and bent the knee to Donald Trump and the Republicans. The government has been shut down for 40 days, and one of the main things that Democrats were asking for is an extension of the ACA subsidies so people have affordable health care that they can access. And the Republicans left it out of the bill, and we agreed. We agreed to that. People's premiums were doubling, tripling. And now the agreement is that we hope Republicans vote on it in December, which doesn't even guarantee a vote in the House. It is pathetic. And let me be clear, not every Democrat voted with the Republicans, so I'm going to read the names of the Democratic senators who did. You have Hassan from New Hampshire, Shaheen from New Hampshire, Fetterman, of course, from Pennsylvania, King from Maine, Kane from Virginia, Cortez Masto from Nevada, Rosen from Nevada, and Durbin from Illinois. Republicans are the reason for the shutdown. They're the reason that healthcare prices are going to skyrocket for over 20 million Americans, but Democrats just allowed them to do it. We allowed them. We bent the knee, we caved. It is pathetic.
CNN is now reporting that there are now at least 8 centrist Democrats poised to cave to the Republicans in a matter of minutes and sign on to a new deal that includes 0 concessions from Republicans. Let me say that again. After more than a month of government shutdown in order to save the health care of 20 million Americans, at least 8 centrist Democrats are set to go against the wishes of not only the Democratic caucus, but also their own voters and, frankly, the American populace to cave to the Republicans in exchange for 0 concessions. All they managed to get out of Republicans was a promise that Republicans will agree to negotiate on health care after at some point maybe. But that's bullshit because Mike Johnson went out in front of the press just earlier today to specifically say he's not promising shit. And I guarantee after they cave, those 8 Democrats are going to trot their asses out on stage and they're going to claim that they did this because they're the good, compassionate ones, unlike those crazy leftists, right? They're the good, compassionate ones, and they did this out of concern for all the people being hurt by the government shutdown. And to that I say, as one of the people being directly hurt by the government shutdown, fuck you. This has nothing to do with shielding your constituents, with shielding American families. This has everything to do with shielding your own re-election chances. And that is why I say any Democrat that walks onto the floor of Congress tonight and votes to cave to Republicans and throw 20 million Americans under the bus should never stand a chance of ever getting reelected. They should be primaried over and over again, however many times it takes to take away their political careers forever, because they are spineless, feckless cowards, and they do not deserve to set foot in the halls of Congress ever again.
It's official. The Senate has voted to reopen the United States government and push the bill to the House of Representatives, who will begin discussions on it and debating it on Wednesday and might pass it on Wednesday. Now, the same 8 Democrats that we talked about last night, they voted in favor of the bill advancing out of the Senate. And it stayed that way. 60-40 vote across the board for almost every single bill. There were some amendments that I'll go through as I see the bills tomorrow probably, and then I'll let you know exactly what's advancing to the House, because the House is still in recess tomorrow because of Veterans Day holiday. And like I said, they will take this up on Wednesday. Now, it's likely that there will be some dissent in the House. Mike Johnson says he has the Freedom Caucus on board. He has a lot of hardliners on board that usually don't like to pass multiple bills at one time, and he thinks he'll have all of the votes he needs by Wednesday. Now, if you want the government to stay closed, I would recommend you start calling Republican representatives across the country, especially if one is one of yours. If you want it to open, same thing. It's up to you what you want to do and how you want to proceed. But for now, it looks like the government shutdown is going to last 43, maybe 44 days and should reopen by Friday.
All of the Senate Democrats last night that caved to the Republicans, that voted with the Republicans to end the government shutdown, guess what? They all take money from AIPAC. And this is just another example why a politician's stance on Gaza should be a litmus test that everybody should be applying to every single politician. Because if a politician doesn't care about something as big as genocide happening abroad, what makes you think they're going to care about you here at home? Because guess what? They're not going to care about you here at home, and last night just proved this. They literally voted with Republicans to take away millions of people's health care. Every single Democrat that takes AIPAC money should be getting primaried as soon as possible, especially all the ones that voted with Republicans to end the government shutdown last night. They caved and they sent us through an entire government shutdown, all for nothing now. We have the choice to choose better, and we absolutely deserve better. So please, for the love of God, support all of these progressive primary challengers that are going to primary all of these incumbent Democrats. Also, yeah, if you're the type of person to be complaining about a purity test from everything that I've been saying right now, and when it comes to like foreign policy, when it comes to a politician, you're an incredibly unserious person, and your politics has failed people for decades. So please, move aside, no one cares.
When you think about it, the Democrats won the shutdown, and there's a parallel here in Texas. Let's be clear that the 8 senators who caved on Sunday deserve every bit of the beatdown they're getting right now from progressives across the country. It speaks volumes that A, none of them are on the ballot next year, B, they're all way too rich to really understand what it's like to worry about paying for health care with an average net worth of about $13 million, and C, most of them are old. Angus King is 81, Dick Durbin is 80, Gene Shaheen is 78. Average age among the 8 is about 70. Generally, these are old, rich folks who are clearly out of touch. But let's back up and note that last Tuesday's blue wave shows that the American people are blaming Trump and the GOP for the shutdown, not the Democrats. And they're blaming him for a whole lot else, too. We could definitely compare the shutdown situation to the Texas Democratic quorum break back in the summer. Let's recall that the end of that seemed like a win for Trump and Governor Abbott too, but the Prop 50 win in California last week was the result of the quorum break, and that will likely nullify any gains that Trump's going to get from that new Texas map. Similarly, the shutdown has all of America noticing that Trump's GOP is doing all they can to make American healthcare as expensive as possible, and now they have to actually vote on it. Short term, it sucks. But long term, it's a win, and all leading into the crucial midterm year of 2026. Hang in there, y'all. I'm Chris Mosier in Austin. More in today's Daily Dispatch. You'll find it everywhere you stream Progress Texas podcasts.
Oh, look, the Democrats are caving. A group of Senate Democrats appear to be poised to end the shutdown. Rumor has it that enough Democrats are going to vote to advance the legislation to a vote, so they probably won't vote yes on it, but they're going to vote to allow a vote. I want to be clear. I in no way defend any Democrats that are caving. However, I think this was the inevitable end to this. It was just a matter of when. And that is for 2 reasons. Number one, I'm pretty sure I figured out why Republicans and Trump were never going to allow any sort of concessions on the ACA subsidies, specifically Trump. I've been crunching the numbers on this for the past 3 days, as many of you have seen on my lives, and I want to do a full breakdown. I've been working on how to distill it all, but long story short, the Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk deal that was just announced are going to make Trump a lot of money. Specifically and particularly more so if the ACA subsidies do not extend. Number 2, and this is more in general, and this has been, at the back of, I believe, everyone's mind for the past almost 40 days now, whether we want to recognize it or not, you cannot ultimately leverage constituents against Republicans. Why? Because they simply do not care. You cannot leverage the government failing to do things for constituents because they do not care. They don't care if Americans die, starve. They don't care if children are sick. They don't care. They just don't care. They don't care. So you cannot use the leverage of people are going to be harmed by this against Republicans. They don't care if the government is shut down. They frankly just don't. They don't care if it's open and hurting people. They just don't. As long as they are making money, they are happy. As long as people are hurting in a way that they can then weaponize and use down the line, they are happy. All they have to do ever is wait for Democrats to have had enough. That's all they have to do every single time. And they know that, right? They know that. They know that eventually Democrats are going to make concessions because Democrats don't want planes falling out of the sky. Democrats don't want federal workers to keep working without pay. Democrats want the government to continue existing as a democracy, which is the other issue. You cannot really leverage constituents against people that fundamentally do not believe in the power that their constituents hold. They don't care. Trump has had absolutely zero problem spending as much money as he wanted over the past 40 days days illegally with misappropriated funds. ICE cannot legally be paid right now. The funds going towards destroying the East Wing, those are illegally agreed to and appropriated. None of the money he has been spending can legally be spent, but Republicans who hold all the power do not care because they do not care about this country or this government. They want it destroyed because they benefit from that. I am so done with people assuming that they are behaving in good faith. And the problem is, for Democrats, quite frankly, again, I'm not defending them, but this is the problem that they have helped to create. They have to, on some level, they are operating with people who are not operating in good faith, but they also have to operate in just enough good faith to try to keep the government standing long enough so that some of us one day can try to reverse some of this damage. That's the problem. That is the problem. And this is what Republicans have always been so good at weaponizing.
It's total bullshit to say the Democratic Party doesn't have a national leader. It doesn't. It's not a matter of opinion or speculation. Leadership is a set of observable behaviors. You set a vision, you inspire people to follow you in pursuit of that vision, and when you deliver against those outcomes, you inspire more people to follow you, and a flywheel begins. And at the national level, there's only one person doing that. The difference between that one person and the limp defectors has become painfully clear over the past 24 hours. At a national level, Gavin Newsom is the only clear leader on the left. The reason why is because he's the only one delivering successful outcomes. What makes him successful is that he understands one simple fact.
Given the choice, the American people will always support strong and wrong versus weak and right.
Strong and wrong. Look no further than Donald Trump. Of course, I'm not talking about real strength. I'm talking about reality TV strength. Trump couldn't win an actual fight with a blow-up doll if you gave him a pair of scissors and named it E. Jean Carroll. It's TV-friendly performative strength, delivering lines like beat the hell out of him and fire and fury before lying down with a lukewarm Big Mac and 8 hours of muted Caroline videos on loop propped on his bedside table. Trump is fake strong and real wrong. Leader cast by Michael Bay and screenwritten by the screening exam at the ADD clinic. But unfortunately, this is what Americans have been trained to follow. Then there's weak and right. I cannot fathom a better description of the academic liberals that have governed the Democratic Party since the 90s. Look no further than what Senator Angus King said in defense of his vote to support reopening the government. Without a single concession on the healthcare subsidies millions of Americans need. He actually sat down on television and said standing up to Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power. God damn it, Angus King, you're named after a bougie fast food cheeseburger, but you're acting like a taco. I swear if some of these people were doctors, they would give hospice care to a kid with a broken finger. Sorry, son, we're gonna have to pull the plug. There's nothing more we can do. Don't worry, we'll hold a candlelight vigil. It's such bullshit. Standing up to Trump is why he's blamed for the shutdown. Standing up to Trump is why he's not in California. Standing up to Trump is why his approval rating is in the 30s. And standing up to Trump is what motivated a tidal wave of voters to go and vote against his agenda. Fighting Trump is what put Gavin Newsom in the position he's in today, where he's chalked up win after win after win. The key difference is that Newsom didn't run away the moment the hits started landing. He hit back and he hit back harder until he had won on behalf of the voters he was elected to represent. To put a very fine point on it, Newsom's response to the caving 8: you don't start something if you can't finish it. If Angus and this small group of collapsing Democrats actually stood on the firm ground beneath their soft shoes, they might stick around long enough to learn how Trump earned his taco nickname in the first place. Because failures have consequences. By fighting back, we keep the focus on the people accountable for those consequences. The most frustrating part is it was working. All this pathetic capitulation, those consequences were landing like haymakers, hitting his approval rating, draining his political capital, tanking the Republicans in the voting booth. But the only way we actually deliver those knockout blows in 2026 and especially 2028 is if we can find it in ourselves to keep up the fight. Fighting is a hell of a lot easier when you've got the right leader fighting alongside you. Fortunately, I know where to find one.
The deal that Democrats agreed to has been a deal that's been on the table for a while now. Still no policy outcome on health care. So what did the American people gain from the past 41 days?
Our fight in the House of Representatives will continue to address the Republican health care crisis. We'll continue that fight today, tomorrow, this week, this month, next month, this year, next year. We're going to continue that fight to fix our broken healthcare system and lower the high cost of living for the American people. And the American people know that we're on the right side of this fight. It's part of the reason why you saw decisive Democratic victories last Tuesday and crushing Republican losses all across America. In Virginia, in New Jersey, in New York, in Pennsylvania, in California, in Mississippi, in Georgia, across the country, up and down the ballot. Because Republican policies have failed the American people. And as Democrats, we're going to continue to fight to make their life better.
Hey, y'all, I hear there's a lot of backlash on Senate Democrats about the shutdown, but they are doing the right thing. Here are 3 reasons why and 1 piece of advice. 1, this is not a fold or a cave by Senate Democrats. You know why? Because Republicans were never going to vote to extend the Obamacare subsidies. In the long term, this is a win for Democrats because they have changed the political conversation, which leads to number 2. They did it by sounding the alarm about the looming affordability crisis in healthcare back in September. And so, by depriving Republicans of the votes needed to pass the CR and keep the government open, Democrats focused the nation's attention on healthcare. 3, the ending of the shutdown doesn't take pressure off Republicans who have the House, the Senate, and the White House to do something about healthcare. So when they don't do something for the American people are going to be mad when they go to the ballot box in November. And this leads to my 1 piece of advice to Democrats. Stop with the formation of the circular firing squad. Keep the attention on Republicans and their unwillingness to help the American people.
Look, I know a lot of people are pissed off right now because they're saying that the Democrats caved, and these 8 Democrats voting with Republicans lifted the government shutdown. You have to understand something. If the Democrats were able to get them to agree on the subsidies for Obamacare, and they're going to take the vote in December. Now, when it comes time for that, it does not happen. These Republicans, when they vote against it, are going to be on the hook on this. It's going to show the American people that they did not care and they lied, and the Democrats did their best, right? Hey, you may not be happy with it. They went 40 days, and if the Republicans said, hey, we're going to put it up, we're going to vote for it, and then it's going to be on the Republicans if this Obamacare subsidies go down and people's stuff shoot through the roof, the Republicans are going to be in a terrible situation. They're already in a terrible situation because the American people look at them as failures, and this shutdown was on them. At some time, the shutdown had to end, and I'm going to tell my Democrat friends to breathe. To breathe, okay? We got this. Just because it's going to open up doesn't mean it's the end of the world, and does not mean that this is not going to end up good for us. Because, again, when the Republicans, and it comes to December, if they vote against it and they make those premiums shoot through the roof and they do nothing, that is going to be terrible for them in the midterms. Yes, the prices go up, and that's going to be detrimental to them. And the Democrats will look better because, hey, they put it on the table, they voted for it, and the Republicans shot it down. This is a process. It's a process. Don't throw your hands up and act like it's all's lost. Relax. It's going to be okay. It's politics. Moderate out.
I have to put this disclaimer in the beginning of my video because people will be disingenuous. I live in a deep blue state. I live in a state where Democrats have always won. I am a registered Democrat voter. I have always voted Democrat or Socialist. For the 2024 elections, I chose to vote for Claudia de la Cruz and not Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris still won in my state because, again, I live in a deep blue state. I did not and will not ever vote for Donald Trump. Me voting for Claudia de la Cruz did not give Trump the win because, again, I live in a deep blue state and Kamala Harris won in my state. With that being said, do I think that the situation we are currently in with the American government would be different if Kamala Harris won the presidency? Absolutely. But I need each and every one of you to not give in to historical amnesia, even though it is so tempting to do so. Please understand that the reason why Kamala Harris lost this very easy election because she prioritized Israel and Republicans. She did not give her voter base something to vote for. She repeated the same campaign that Joe Biden was trying to run on, and he was so unpopular that he had to step down. And she still says to this day that she would not change a damn thing. And as we have seen with the recent success of Zohran Mamdani's campaign, you have to give people something to vote for. It is not enough to say, I am not the other person. That will not make people want to vote for you. You have to give people something to vote for. And she did not do that. She would not let up on her support for Israel. She would not let up on her trying to be buddies with Republicans. She would not even answer a simple question if she supported trans health care. I know historical amnesia is so tempting to give into, but do not do that. Remember the kind of campaign she ran on and how fucking shitty it was. That is why she lost, not anything else. And if she tries to run again in 2028, not changing a damn thing, she will lose again. If Gavin Newsom runs in 2028, not changing a damn thing, he will lose. If any Democrat candidate tries to run on the same campaign that caused Kamala Harris to again lose a very easy election, they will lose. And before you start typing in the comments that this country is racist and misogynistic and that may be a reason why she lost, look at me. Look at me. Now delete that comment. I don't need that reminder because I live that every single day of my life. That didn't stop folks like Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and AOC from winning in their primaries. It also didn't stop Zohran Mamdani, who is a Muslim man, winning the mayoral election in New York City. Look at their campaigns. Look at what they ran on. Now compare it to Kamala Harris. Now come up with a different excuse. These Democrat senators who voted with Republicans to reopen the government without any demands to protect affordable health care have always voted alongside Republicans and take donations from AIPAC. So now that we understand the very things that fuck over and manipulate our elections, what the fuck are you going to do about it?
Democrats? You mean wannabe Republicans? They are pathetic. Oh, they got a promise for a vote in December on subsidies, as if the House Republicans are even going to pick it up. It's a joke. It's a sham. They don't care because they themselves have taxpayer-funded health care. They get to enjoy that luxury while they take it from 20 million others. They are wannabe Republicans. They don't care about their constituents because they don't care. They don't care. They just get to hide and pretend to care while secretly they're loving everything that Trump is doing. They love it. And this action shows that. Watch what they do, not what they say. Just as Republicans will say they are pro-life, but their actions say otherwise. Oh, you thought they were pro-life because they've said it over and over and over again? No, you have to watch what they do because their actions will tell you otherwise. This is expected, sadly expected, the spineless Democrats who want to be Republicans so bad. And they want Republican voters so bad. Instead of going more progressive, they get more conservative. Pathetic.
Let me tell you how I feel about the 8 Democratic votes in the Senate who caved to allow the government to potentially reopen without extensions to the healthcare subsidies that are currently saving, in some cases, over $30,000 a year for American families on health insurance. Yes, I am furious at these elected officials for choosing the worst of 2 bad choices, kicking the can down the road for 2 months so they can all go home for the holidays, while regular Americans who need to choose a health insurance plan for 2026 are forced to choose between a crippling price increase or going without health insurance at all. But you know what makes me even more fucking furious? The 50 Republican senators and the 218 Republican representatives who voted for the bill to delete the subsidies in the first place, including 18 Republican senators up for re-election in 2026, and of course all 218 representatives. In total, 236 elected Republican officials who voted to delete the subsidies and who are up for re-election in 12 months. And on top of that, the 80 million or so Americans voted for Trump and who voted in all of these senators and representatives who chose to delete social safety nets for working families so they could pay for tax cuts for the 1%. Yeah, I'm pissed at the 8 Democratic senators who caved, because accountability matters. But if I'm keeping a healthy perspective in the Russian nesting dolls of failure that is the Republican government under Trump, that handful of Democrats are the least of my problems. A far bigger problem is Donald Trump, the Republican leadership and the American voters who put these people into power and left us in a place where that handful of Democrats was left to navigate this bullshit choice in the first place.